It's a beautiful morning.
Trololo, trololo, trololo. Oh, hello everybody, and welcome back to another Krebs Coho replay cast. Okay, guys, I hope you loved the introduction there. Kind of unusual. Maybe we'll do it again in the future. But until that time, let's get on with this replay. Okay, guys, so today we're going to be looking at a 2v2 on Lorraine. Lorraine. Pretty cool map. It's going to be a Brit, or not Brit, what am I on about? Wehrmacht and PE player versing their opponents, two Americans. So pretty cool. Now this is going to be a user submitted replay submitted by N Chiang. Hope I'm saying that name right. And his partner Christoph. And so it's quite a decent match. I've watched about halfway through. So the last half I'm going to have absolutely no clue how it's going to turn out. So there's going to be a sort of surprise factor. And these people are quite decent people. And so, a lot to expect from this. I'm going to do a shout out for you guys before we actually continue on with the actual game. And well, I was looking for a game to be casting, and this was actually not my first choice. Surprisingly enough, it is actually a good replay, and it should have been my first choice. But what I was actually in the mood for, and what I mentioned on the channel, was that I was going to be doing a 4v4 map. Now, you know, I swear I had a lot more than one replay sent in with 4v4 maps, but all I could find was one replay, and it wasn't absolutely superb. So, you know what, guys, I'm going to say this right now, rather than later on the replay when probably the viewership goes down a little bit. You might as well know now. But I'm going to be doing a priority on 4v4 replays for the next maybe one or two games. Basically, if you have a 4v4 replay, and specifically a VP one, I know a lot of people don't like to play VPs on 4v4, but if you could manage to do that, I will definitely give you some priority, because we've never seen any game bigger than 3v3. I believe we've done one Red Bull Express, but that was pretty much it. So I'm going to do a priority. If you send in a 4v4, I'm going to take a look at it, and hopefully I'll get around to casting it. But make sure there are some VPs in there, because VPs are better than Annihilation. That is just my opinion anyway. Alright guys, so this replay, look at this action from the get-go. Can we ask for anything more? Well, it looks like Lorraine is a funny map. Basically, you have three ways to go. You have a northern tactical side option, which a lot of people just like to cap away at usually. Most of the action we like to see on Lorraine is usually in the center place, where they like to capture the house over here, and also the southern side. For some reason, these are the sort of naturalistic ways to go. I suppose a lot of people like to think that the southern side is easier to access than the northern side, because I mean, if you look at the northern side, it is a bit more distance away from the bases than the southern and middle. So I suppose it just asks for more action. So let's take a look at the action. So two PGs in this house shooting away at the Jeep over here, which looks like it's taking some damage, and oh no! Already going down, the gentleman flying up in the air, reaching for the heavens, but falling back to the ground and probably going to hell. That is horrible, very horrific. We've got 4 PGs over here in total. That is a lot to deal with, but funny thing is the PGs cannot even get near this area because there's 2 MGs. I mean, if there's a single MG, they could try and go around the building or something, but there are 2 MGs. They could easily support each other, and this puts the PGs in a very awkward position. Obviously, they can fight long range like this, but if you guys know anything about the American MGs, say we put in a situation, imagine the situation, let's use our imagination right here. Say we have a Wehrmacht MG and an American MG. I'm sure you guys have been in this position before. American MG in a building, Wehrmacht MG in a building, who is going to win? Now, that's an interesting question. It's almost always going to be an American MG. So American MGs are better at fighting against other buildings. And so when you have an awkward position like that, PGs versus American MGs in buildings, it looks like the American MGs are going to win, especially when you got 2 of them firing away like that. And oh no, what the heck is going on over here? We had a mortar take out the PGs over PG squad. What the heck was that from? Very interesting question. I'm trying to look for it. Oh god, I don't even know what the heck that was. I mean, there's no, it doesn't even look like there's any mortars out. Let's switch on over to, say, Christoph. He has a mortar, so the mortar must be somewhere. Must have retreated after shooting that. Wow, well anyway, it looks like a mortar must have killed that whole entire PG squad, so not looking good for the PE. They managed to lose, managed to be pushed back in terms of houses. They also lost a squad over here. We've also got MG over here, so that's obviously a PE unit. That is obviously a Wehrmacht unit, and so the Axes are fighting in unison together. Now let's take a look at across the map what is going on. So right down the line, let's take a look. So we've got a sniper here, we've got an MG over there, we've got a mortar and an MG. So obviously that sniper is there to counter the MGs in the building from that WSC start. From one of the Americans, we've also got some riflemen that are moving in along the side, maybe trying to go in for some flanks. Also some territory captured over here by the Wehrmacht. The Wehrmacht placing down some mines, so making sure this area is okay. A-okay. However, their guys are stationary. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe if his micro isn't up to par. Maybe he's microing his sniper. So there's some more guys over here, and that is pretty much it. So the Wehrmacht are quite stationary on the northern side, pretty much just focusing on what is down on the south side at the moment. And that is just that's what separates the average players from the great players. Basically, the great players will obviously be microing at all times right across the map. They will be like the StarCraft players, just clicking 20 clicks per second everywhere on the map. And I'm just joking. A lot of actually great players do not actually click at 20 clicks per second. The great thing about Company of Heroes, and I just want to mention there's a huge flank over here, managed to push away that MG. Very great job by the Americans. The great thing about Company of Heroes is that obviously, it's a very tactical game, but it's not as demanding as, say, StarCraft. Oh my god, the sniper, what is the heck is happening here? The great thing about Company of Heroes is that it's not exactly like StarCraft, where you need loads and loads of clicks per second in order to win the game. All you pretty much need is tactical viability, knowing the knowledge of what counters what, and also a tiny fraction of luck. Obviously, clicks do help, however, you don't have to be as micro intensive as the as StarCraft, for example. So what we saw there, we saw a sniper just being taken out. Obviously, the micro wasn't up to scratch, so he did take quite a hefty amount of damage, and he was just about to get away from there. However, there's a rifleman in this building over here. So we also have a sniper out from the Americans. So combined unisons of the Americans. So they have the riflemen from one player from N Chiang, and also a WSC from Christoph. So working together. Likewise, the Wehrmacht were doing the same by having their forces fighting on the same front. Interesting position. Now look at the encompassing Axis territory at the moment. They're just going right around the Americans, rightly so, because I mean the Americans were pretty much just focusing on the southern side. It gave the Axis such a great opportunity to just cap away at everything else that was not even defended. Now we have a mortar half-track out from Smurfing AC. Very interesting name. I love how he has Smurfing account. Wow. Now, for the people that don't actually understand what smurfing means, I believe, and don't hold me to this, but I believe the whole thing about smurfing is the fact that smurfing is, obviously you're a great player and you play on a brand new account, and so smurfing in a way is, if you guys know the TV show The Smurfs, obviously they're very cutesy and they look cuddly and they'd be easy to beat, but that's from first appearances, and then all of a sudden, bam, you just get absolutely owned by these very great players, because all of a sudden they have low accounts, and yep, that's what happens. So massive flanks, and just loads and loads of flanks. Oh my god, mines going off, just absolutely insane. Flames everywhere. So much action going on the field at the moment. So this is a 2v2. I'd love to see how a 4v4 would be like in terms of action. I bet I would just be absolutely, I'd probably have ADD if I was casting a 4v4 game, attention deficit disorder, probably just be everywhere. So lots and lots of action. Mortar half-track out from that Kampf group, the Kampfgruppe company from the PE. So obviously going to be having those half-tracks out, quite a viable option. But mostly maybe so to just leapfrog onto the Panzerjäger command. Obviously by getting Panzerjäger command you can start thinking about armored cars and MP44s. Basically stuff to counter the infantry, and not a bad decision either. because there are loads of infantry on the field, rightly so, with the riflemen, the engineers, the WSC, and the mines going off. So an armored car would not be a bad decision. I mean, you could get in near the buildings, take out the MGs, circle around them. Obviously, you got to be a bit wary about the armor-piercing rounds, but as long as you're going around it, you can dodge it. This is MG doing a very great job of countering the motorcycle, taking it out. However, there is a mortar throwing a fire mortar shell on the building. However, I think it might have slightly missed because it wasn't doing loads and loads of damage as it usually would on a building like that. MG just managing to get out of there with just a tiny fraction of health. I believe that must have been like 1 HP there. So tiny amounts. Looking at the doctrinal choices of the Americans, we have with, who am I looking at? Christoph. Christoph is the guy with the WSC. Going straight for his airborne. He's also jumped to the mortar pull, which is not a bad decision. A lot of times if you're going to be going for, say, a WSC, you might want to go for a motor pull. Now we also have En Chiang, who's gone for a motor pull as well. So what we might actually see, I'm not exactly sure if this is going to happen or not, but differences in build orders from the motor pulls. For example, Christoph has a motor pull, he might go for AT guns. And Chiang has a motor pull, he might go for M8s. And so that is what we're pretty much seeing. Mine's going off by the Greyhound, severely damaging the engine of Smurfing Account's armored car. This is taking some damage from the MG. However, if the MG could have thrown down some armor-piercing rounds, I honestly believe he could have actually destroyed this armored car, but instead he is losing his own MG, so losses on every side. We saw the M8 go down slightly earlier from AT gunshot, I believe from the pack over here, which is taken out as well. Oh my god, just everybody's losing their units left and right, left and center, oh my god, right across the field. So much to take in, and pretty much heavy losses for both sides, an eye for an eye. So we have the airborne doctrine selected by Christoph, not a bad decision. Great to be countering the armored cars when they get the recoilless rifles. Switching on over to En Chiang, he has the infantry doctrine, calling the Rangers. So okay, it's a decent decision as well. Love to see what comes out of that. Muddick, the American, or not the American, the Wehrmacht player, I believe, has no doctrinal choice. And let's see, Smurfing Account, no doctrinal choice. We saw a big demolition charge, it looked like, go off there. I'm not exactly sure if that was perhaps from Airborne Squad. Might have been. I believe there's some guys retreating over here. No idea. Maybe it was a demolition charge. Didn't manage to see that. But there's mortar shells going off over here, and this is what I mean. It doesn't look like the mortar shells were absolutely perfectly shot. They did seem to miss the building because there wasn't actually flames over the building, and the MG was taking pretty much no damage. So pretty much a waste of ammunition to be calling down that flame mortar shell. And so, oh, this is kind of interesting. So instead of seeing a AT gun come out from Christoph, instead what he has is a T-17. So interesting choice. The M8 obviously the differences between T-17 and the M8 is that T-17 is more of a definite infantry killer, more specialized, and so obviously it's going to be great at doing that. It doesn't shoot as fast as it used to in 2.602, however still a viable infantry killer. However, the thing is that it has quite a buff in terms of its health now, than in comparison to 2.602, and instead its sandbags that it gets at Veteran C1 give a slightly lesser, or quite a bit less health. So all these changes that to be aware of, right? So the T-17 obviously going to be great at killing infantry. The M8 going to be able to place down mines, as we saw a bit earlier with that armored car, damaging it severely. We've got a martyr coming out, pretty cool. And so we already have airborne as well. Now I'm sort of thinking, is Martyr a great choice? I mean, we had those packs on the field. Shouldn't that be enough to actually counter the T-17s and the M8s? So instead he's going to be going for a Martyr, which is an interesting choice. I'm not exactly sure if I would agree with that totally, but you know, why not? Let's see what happens out of it. And so it seems like a bit of a dull moment. Looking at the field, it seems like the Wehrmacht are going up towards the northern side. The territory is pretty much messy looking. Messy indeed if we're looking at the tactical map. Very messy. If the Americans could cut off the Wehrmacht over here, they could deny a bunch of resources from them, but it doesn't look like that's happening. However, the riflemen are already capping away here, and veterancy 2 on the riflemen already. That is crazy. So 2 light vehicle kills and already 10 infantry kills on that. Veterancy 2, very, very well done. 14 minutes into the game, we usually don't see veterancy that quickly. So bunch of men fighting away on this front. The PE are in a bad position there because they're pretty much at their base, not looking good. Their flak Vierling is taking some damage from the AT gun, and rightly so, because these flak Vierlings are the things that are going to be stopping the Americans from actually moving in. Are the PE going to try and reman this flak Vierling? Good. They're not actually remanning it because there's that sniper, but oh my god, I'm not even noticing all the stuff that happens, but the sniper was actually killed by a mortar round, and he was just asking for it, absolutely asking for it. If you're just staying there in the same position with your mortar, then you're just asking to be killed like that with your sniper, should I say. You're just asking to be mortar shelled and killed. So that's what we saw from that sniper. T-17 being a bit too bold, taking a shot from that mortar. Perhaps the mortar was not a bad decision just because that the packs aren't on the field, so they need some sort of AT support, and it looks like a mortar shell was actually taking out that managed to take out that T-17. Oh my god, so many losses. The Americans so close to moving in and actually taking out the PE. However, they're just not managing to be able to do so. They're in such awkward position by being in this area here. They're just asking to be mortar barraged, and so they've been losing their snipers, their T-17s. It looks like this AT gun is in a very bad position, just asking to be mortar barraged as well. I'm not exactly sure why it's not moving a bit more, but it looks like because the mortar half-track was destroyed by the AT gun, and oh my god, we got a Hetzer on the field as well. This vehicle going down. There's so much destruction on the field, so hard to catch up with. So I'm just trying to manage to see all the action that's going on, all the killing, but really it's just back and forth, so much destruction. It seems like the Americans are so intent on moving in, but their intentness of doing so is their the reason for their demise, the reason that they're losing so many of their guys. What they need is to keep all their guys together, make sure they're constantly dodging the mortar barrages, and then in a final big swoop, they need to move in all at once together and take them out. That is what they need to do, but however, they can't actually manage to do that because they're pretty much sending in their guys one at a time. So what do we have? We have the tank destroyer doctrine selected by the PE, so we see that Hetzer coming out. So loads of AT, and not really a bad decision either. We've also got a demolition charge coming down from the airborne just across. As you guys can see, the demolition charge is a throw-in, sort of like in a Piat fashion. They can be lobbed over things, like grenades as well. So they can be lobbed over the rubble here, and the PE actually managing to dodge that. I'm not exactly sure why the Americans actually decided to throw a demolition charge. Kind of a waste of munitions in my opinion, because I mean, if they're fighting at their base, come on, where else are they going to be microing, right? They're only going to be looking at their base, and that they're going to be easily able to dodge that demolition charge. So lots of AT, lots of anti-infantry. The PE are in a horrible position. The Wehrmacht are trying to move in on the northern side. The Wehrmacht already have a tank depot out, so they have gone for T2, Krieg Barracks, then jumped onto the Panzer Command. 18 minutes of the game, we have our first Ostwind out. Ostwind, should I say. And also Panzer IV, some action going along up here. The Rangers, with their heroic charge, I believe, or fire up. I always get confused with the sprint, fire up, heroic charge. I believe it's heroic charge. Just trying to take out this Panzer IV, but oh my god, look at it! It's just one bullet. I'm telling you guys, just one bullet could easily destroy that thing. But instead, it managed to survive with those Rangers retreating. And airborne squad staying over here. I'm not exactly sure what's going on at the moment. The Rangers, or the air paratroopers coming down, calling another squad. Oh my god! 2 squads being killed! Oh no! This is what I mean. Such silly losses. Christoph saying, very sad smiley face. Well, that was silly. You know, I actually agree. That was kind of silly as well, because he lost 2 paratrooper squads to 1 armored car. Let's look at the armored car, instantly jumping up to 15 kills on that. So that is absolutely insane. He has veterancy 2 now, so that is pretty much giving the armored car free veterancy. As soon as those airborne were coming down, they're being shot out from the skies. The paratroopers with the recoilless rifles were reloading, and as soon as those guys from the skies were shot out, they were killed as well. So 2 recoilless rifles just free to be taken from the PE, and not looking good. All these losses are adding up for the Americans. Look at this, another squad going down. And all the Americans have left to defend over here is an AT gun and an engineer squad. Okay, AT gun, engineer squad versus all of this. We've got Knights Crossholders, we've got PE, PGs, we've got Martyrs, we've got Mortars, we've got armored cars. Come on, PE, if you move in right now, you could easily take on all the Americans. I think the PE are a bit cautious at the moment. What they're actually doing is sending in a scouting Knights Crossholder squad just to make sure that whatever is there is going to be able to be taken out by the PE if they do move in. However, the Americans are just so defensive at the moment. They're really trying to just keep their position by building a medic bunker, or not a medic bunker, an MG bunker. However, the MG bunker was taken out and deleted, so the Americans just trying to hold onto the position here, but easily these guys can move in at the moment. The Wehrmacht fighting on the northern side, so lots of action over here. We've got a forward HQ by Muddock, and the riflemen moving in on the northern side, trying to take out the mortar being taken out. Very well done. We've also got a flanking AT gun, so this is absolutely perfect. We've got flanks from the entire directions, every single direction. The Wehrmacht in a very bad position. A mortar shoot, oh my god, a artillery shoot is coming down, taking out that Volksgrenadier squad who was trying to defend the forward HQ. This is a last stand sort of maneuver. Oh my god, these lucky mortar artillery shells almost taking out this Panzer IV, but from every single direction we have riflemen, the Americans, just encircling this forward HQ. This is a last stand. The men are just trying to hold in over here. One Pioneer man left in this squad, trying to repair the Panzer IV. The Panzer IV cannot move up at all because there are AT guns over here. And what is this? This looks strange. Let's switch on over to Muddock. He has a firestorm. So this is the kind of reinforcements he was needing. If he cannot get reinforcements on the field, what is he going to do? He's going to call in an artillery barrage. He's going to call in a firestorm. So he managed to take out that AT gun. So perhaps he could actually get this Panzer IV out of there if he moved right now. However, the only thing he has to be cautious of is obviously sticky bombs and Rangers. So this is absolutely perfect. I feel like I'm watching like a war right now, or like a war movie, like The Last Stand over here. All these artillery shoots coming down, the firestorms, these flanking maneuvers, and all that great stuff. The stuff that we love to see in a game. Now I'm going to take a quick drink of water, if you just excuse me, guys. Perfect game. I wasn't expecting this from a user submitted game, but this is very great indeed. Just lots of action. The PE are moving back in, reclaiming their territory, so they have managed to move outside of their base. What has happened to the American defense here? I'm not exactly sure. They must have been taken out or something, or moved back. I just have absolutely no clue. I mean, if we're looking at the Americans over here, all they have left is just pretty much one paratrooper squad. I can't see anything else on the field except from engineers. Throwing a satchel charge. I'm not exactly sure why they're doing that. The satchel charge obviously has a 5-second counter ticker to actually, explode, and so the Knights Cross had plenty of time to dodge that. So waste of ammunition, in my opinion. The Americans are just really desperate at the moment. They really want to get back to that foothold that they had in front of the PE's base, but I mean, it's just the reason they're not managing to do that is pretty much their own fault, because they're losing guys so needlessly. If they just kept their guys, their unit preservation up, kept them all together, sent them in all at the same time rather than one by one, they'd have a much bigger army now. But I mean, if we're looking at what the Americans have, they have next to none compared to what the Wehrmacht and the PE have done. The Wehrmacht and PE, the only reason that they're managing to overcome their opponents right now is simply because their unit preservation is much better than the than the Americans. We've also got assault grenades from the Knights Crossholders, just stunning the guys in the building, the Rangers. So very good job, doing very well with that. But the PE and Wehrmacht axes just moving right on in, capturing everything. The southern side is in the hands of the PE, the center is going back in the hands of the Wehrmacht and PE, and so is the northern side. We've also got the Panzer IV, which is repaired, its gun is fine, the engine is slightly damaged, so it needs to get back up to health, then it'll be absolutely fine. However, the Americans, I'm not exactly sure how they're going to recover from this. If they are going to recover, what they need to do is up their unit preservation, just make sure it is all up to scratch, because if they just keep on losing guys like this, it's not going to be a great thing. So it looks like I haven't actually noticed this on Lorraine, but it looks like this was a change on Lorraine. There's a hill over here now, because before in 2.602 what you would have to do is come all the way around here to capture that point. Now there's actually a hill over here, so it's good to see that. A little bit of balance changes. So a incendiary grenade going in the house, forcing retreat the Rangers. And so the Wehrmacht and Axis in general just having a very good day, managing to recover. The Hetzer just staying over here. The riflemen taking some casualties. Not looking good for the Americans. How are they going to counter this? What are you guys thinking? In my mind, I've actually got no clue. In my mind, I have no clue whatsoever. As I said at the beginning of this replay, this cast, I only watched this halfway through. Halfway through. So I have no idea how this is actually going to end. More assault grenades from the Knights Crossholders, just damaging the guys over here and stunning them, pinning them down. Look at all the bullets these Knights Crossholders can take. Obviously they're almost being killed now, but considering that there are two Rangers right there, also riflemen and engineers, they took a lot of damage there, lots and lots, and just shows how effective they are. The Hetzer are trying to reverse back because it's taking quite a bit of flak from the bazookas, but the bazookas, obviously they do a lot of damage, but only if they can penetrate, which the bazookas, and famously, they live in infamy, is that they don't have great penetration. So if they are going to penetrate such a difficult to penetrate Hetzer tank, what they need to do is get some side armor or rear armor shots. So the tank getting repaired up by the PGs, and a bunch of guys moving in over here, and look at this, the recoilless rifles in the hands of the PG squads over here, both of the recoilless rifles over there. So what do we have? We have tanks out from the Americans, from Christoph, and yeah, both from Christoph. We have an M18 Hellcat and a Sherman. So M18 obviously going to be the AT, and the Sherman obviously going to be the general AT and AI, the anti-infantry. Another satchel charge going down, missing and not doing anything, so that is the third satchel charge coming down from the paratroopers, not actually doing anything, and yet again another waste of ammunition. I'm just going to say a word of advice and a comment right now. If you're going to use satchel charges, make sure you use it on an absolutely noobish opponent that has 0 micro, or on, say, a building, an MG, or on a flak Vierling, anything that's stationary, something like that, a flak 88, something like that. Just whenever your opponent has great micro, they can easily avoid it. So there's no point in throwing a satchel charge down. Grenades, why not? 1 second, or a few seconds just for it to blow up. So much harder to avoid than the satchel charge. So there we go. M18 taking some damage. M4 Sherman taking damage. These guys got no chance whatsoever. If we look at what's going on, I mean, the Sherman taken out there. Panzer IV just about to be taken out. Yes, it is taken out just in the nick of time. However, the Hellcat is just about to be destroyed. And there we go. Both American tanks going down. One Wehrmacht tank going down. The Hetzer is still alive with full health. So, man, the Americans losing a lot of stuff. What they really need is more engineers. What they need is more tanks. What they most importantly need is better unit preservation. And this is a common thing I've pretty much seen every single replay out there. Whenever a person is losing, it's just pretty much down to unit loss. That's basically how you win against somebody, outflanking them, outmaneuvering them, and having a better unit preservation than them. So obviously that comes down to micro. If you can do that, you pretty much guaranteed yourself a win. We've got a medic station here, a little bit late to be coming out from the Americans, but I suppose they actually did recognize that they have loads of infantry on the field, especially with the Rangers and the infantry doctrine. So medic station obviously is the natural progression with having so much infantry. VPs 325 for the Wehrmacht and for the Axis, and 263 for the Americans. So the Americans just trying to hang on in there, losing that engineer squad, so you get the unit losses racking up for the Americans. The medics being taken out, so these opponents obviously know what they're doing. And you know what? I recognize that this is a user submitted game, and you know, usually the games that I watch from user submitted games, and I'll be brutally honest, aren't the best, and I recognize that. And because this channel that I have, the videos that I bring out are for a broad spectrum of people, from the absolute new people, from the people that don't even have the game, to the absolute experts. And so obviously the level of replays that I get, some of them aren't going to be the best. Obviously some of them are going to be from newer players, the less experienced ones. And so you know, usually I don't have the absolute highest expectations from a game, but I'm actually very surprised that I got such a great game from a user submitted one. This is absolutely perfect. This is expert like, probably advanced intermediate to expert. Just because these people know what they're doing. There's constant flanking, constant action across the entire map, and I do believe this is actually an auto match as well, an arranged team. So both these teams are obviously arranged. They both know each other, and so it becomes very, very competitive. If you're placed against random people, for example, if your teammate is a complete random, you don't know him, then obviously you're not going to play as well as somebody you have on TeamSpeak, one of your friends or something like that. You can communicate a lot better. And so this is why the match is so brilliant and doing absolutely great. M10 tank destroyer taking some damage from the tank busters with their Panzerschrecks. Tank busters, two of the Panzerschrecks on one squad, obviously because of the tank destroyer doctrine. And this M10 having difficulty actually killing anyone. It did actually manage to take out one guy from the squad. However, paper armor of the M10 showing how futile they are against Panzerschrecks. So the Panzer bazookas just managing to take that M10, no problem whatsoever. I believe that was 3 shots to actually take it out from the side armor. Okay, so it looks like the PE are losing a little bit of their territory on the southern side. The Americans somehow being able to push back with really not that much guys. What I'd love to see is perhaps more anti-infantry such as MP44s. Obviously you might be thinking, oh, maybe I'll go for some anti-infantry in the vehicles section, such as armored cars. Well, you could, but then again, there are recoilless rifles which are very, very accurate, and so can easily take out those armored cars. If he had some MP44s, which he doesn't really look like he has a much of, then he could do a decent job against the airborne. Only thing to be aware of with the airborne is that they have strafing run, so you gotta be careful and just make sure that all of your squads are separated, because strafing run is more effective against bigger squads than grouped up squads than singled out ones. So the Americans back in this territory, and there we go, the strafing run coming down the PGs, just asking to be strafing run there. Look at the 5 bodies rolling around on the floor. Not good at all. The Americans managing to actually push on their opponents. They're taking the opportunity to move in. Obviously they recognize there is no flak Virulings. Obviously they recognize they just strafing run the opponents, so they are moving in. However, a bit too bold. They were trying to fall back because there are combined arms with the Wehrmacht moving in together. What they need is another strafing run or some sort of artillery shoot, but it looks like all these men, is just too much to deal with, and all the guys are falling back. Engineers retreat now. AT gun retreat. No, this does not look good. The AT gun is most likely going to be taken out. The MG setting itself up for perhaps some suppression. Can they dodge it? They are all focus firing on the MG. Come on, some more bullets. Come on, more. Take it out. No, they are not taking it out. I have no idea why. Gosh. I mean, if you're going to talk about grenades and using grenades, I think the Grenadier grenade would be absolutely perfect to at least finish off that MG there, but not actually happening. We have another M18 Hellcat from the Americans, and so the Americans somehow being able to push in on their opponents. This is very strange. I mean, the Americans, the Axis in general, have been having a better unit preservation than the Americans, but for some reason they are being pushed back. So the Americans, the USA, losing some guys, losing an AT squad over here. This squad just about to go down. No, it looks like they'll be able to get away from there. Oh my god, no! It looks like the retreating guys was taken out. No, my god, retreat! No! This paratrooper squad was taken out. Not good. So we're going back to the losses that we were talking about a bit earlier. Bunch of grouped up guys. Can you imagine what it'd be like to have like a bombing run right there? Or a strafing run, just taking out all these guys? That would be so perfect. Come on, I'd love to see these things. But I think I'm just doing some wishful thinking, maybe that's all. So look at these guys closing in. They're just trying to close in, and come on, get out some of those Panzerschreck shots. Come on, set up. Oh yes, taking out that M18. God, I don't know. I think I'm rooting for the Wehrmacht right now. I don't know how you guys are. All the American fanboys are probably rooting for the Americans. They're probably saying, "Come on, you Americans, get back on in there." I'm rooting for the Panzer Grenadiers. I mean, they were pushed back to their base multiple times. They've had perfect unit preservation. They've actually managed to take out, chase away the Americans right to their base. Only thing I commented on, obviously, is that they're grouping up all their guys into a blob, which all of you blob haters out there obviously do not like. But I mean, come on, they're the Panzer Grenadiers. For God's sake, they have zeal. They are meant to blob up their infantry. Naturally, they are meant to be countered by strafing run. So pretty much there is no argument to say that blobbing is such a bad tactic, because there are counters perfect out there on the for the Americans. They have perfect counters against the blobs, such as strafing run, bombing run, artillery barrages, and those on so forth. So a mortar half-track just shooting away over here. It looks like both the opponents just at about halfway on their VPs. And still, I have absolutely no clue how this is going to turn out. The Wehrmacht are trying to push in on the northern side. But the Americans pretty much have control of the northern sectors. They have managed to lose the center and the southern side. I have absolutely no clue who's going to win this. I mean, the VPs are pretty much equal. The territories are pretty much equal. I've got no clue, guys. And we've got strafing run coming down here, killing loads of guys. As I was just saying a few minutes earlier, perfect counters out to counter blobs. Look at these guys: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, perhaps 8 squads dead, or members dead. So I mean, that's what happens if you blob up. You have to live the consequences. And so there we go, some flanking rangers just trying to meet some of the retreating squads halfway. Artillery barrage coming down, but these squads managing to dodge it. However, it looks like maybe 1 or 2 guys were killed there. This squad taken out, not looking good. I do love the tactical options by the riflemen. Obviously, no flak Vierlings here. Left the option for the riflemen to move in over here and Chiang and cool down that howitzer shoot. However, not placed down correctly on the right time. If he managed to place it down just as those squads were retreating to the base and managing to get there, he could have literally taken all of them out, and that would have been the end of the game. However, he did manage to take out a few of them. The Panzer IV actually crushing quite a few of the guys there. And now, this is the thing about tanks. When they're alive, they can take out guys, they can obviously crush them and such, but it's a lot more difficult. When a tank is out of control and destroyed, it can easily just crush anyone who's in the way. There's just no chance for anyone who's going to be in the way of out of control tank, and so they die very easily. Oh my god, Veteran C3 squad going down. No! This is very bad unit preservation by the Americans. As you guys can see there, they were trying to throw a grenade. He was getting into the animation. A grenade would have been perfect to kill loads of these guys. The nuclear pineapple would have been very perfect to absolutely take out loads of them. However, come on. If you're talking about the pros and cons of that situation, what, sacrificing a veteran C3 rifleman squad to perhaps take out a few PGs? No, definitely not, in my opinion, a great idea. He lost a veteran C3 squad, absolutely no reason there. Considering veterancy is just an absolute key for victory for the Americans, that is a gigantic loss. That's a bigger loss than, say, losing a Sherman, in my opinion. just because the veteran C3 squad is just so hard to get back. So the Wehrmacht's trying to maintain hold up here. They've got multiple Knights Crossholders, 6 officers fighting together, just trying to take out this medic station. I'm not exactly sure why they're not closing in, because if they're going to be standing that far away, they're not going to do any damage. They should try and close in. Funnily enough, they're not actually doing that much damage. I thought actually bullet fire is able to take out this take out medic stations and MG nests and such, but I'm not exactly sure why they're not doing more damage to that medic station. Maybe it's something to do with the Knights Crossholders. Not exactly sure. Riflemen over here just about to be taken out. Oh my god, being blasted into smithereens by a Panzerschreck. The AT, oh my god, this is horrible. Now, I know that there's not tons of anti-infantry here. I mean, just look at it, we've got 2 MP44s, which I suppose is decent anti-infantry. But it seems like the stars of the show, there's so much anti-tank, there's so much Panzerschrecks, recoilless rifles, that pretty much they're able to be the anti-infantry as well. And it's kind of odd that I'm saying that, but the Panzerschrecks, so many of them, if they do land on the guys at close range, for example, you know, easily could blast a guy into smithereens, instantly kill one. And so that's what we saw. We saw about 3 bodies go into exploding smithereens. 4 guys trying to build one mine. If you guys didn't know already, one of the myths is that more squads you have building a mine, the faster it will build. No, that is not the case. In fact, mines build at the same rate despite how many guys are building it. You can have one guy on the squad. You can have one squad building a mine. They'd build exactly the same time as the as 4 squads. The only time you get a faster build increase speed rate is when you are building normal buildings. Okay. So we've got a strafing run coming down, and rightly so. They were asking for it. Oh, no, oh my god, that was a huge strafing run. 2 squads being killed there. 2 squads being killed. Let's just try and absorb that. 2 squads being killed by the for the Panzer Grenadiers. Also losing a few men in those other ones. Just managing to barely dodge that Teller mine. Teller mine, sorry. the rifleman can obviously not activate a Teller mine. That is only activated by vehicles going over it. So massive raping, strafing run there, not looking good for the PGs. I mean, that was a huge loss for them, losing veterancy and all that great stuff. So I suppose it's eye for an eye. Riflemen's losing their veterancy, PGs losing their veterancy, not looking good for both people. The replay is nearing towards the end. 141 for the Axis, 249 for the Americans. And the tides of war is changing more so in the favor of the Americans. We've got a whole bunch of guys moving on over here. However, what we do have are 2 Ostwinds, sticky bombs coming down, propaganda work, force retreating, loads of squads, 4 of them in fact, and this entire building going down to a heap of rubble, the Rangers being taken out, and the medics trying to recover some of these bodies. So terror doctrine out from Muddock. Obviously he's saving his CP for the King Tiger. Perhaps the King Tiger could change the tide of war. We have a Jagd Panther out, in fact, by the Tank Destroyer doctrine, managing to obviously be a perfect, absolutely great AT counter. However, there is not loads of anti-tank on the field. The Jagd Panther is perhaps maybe not the best decision by smurfing account. He needs that Jagd Panther down here where it can actually take on the M4 Crocodile Sherman. And, you know, I should actually say that more surprisingly. A Crocodile Sherman? Now we don't usually see a Crocodile Sherman. In fact, the last game I done, there was 3 of them. However, they did not live up to usefulness. In fact, all of them died. So I want to see if this one's going to do anything. It doesn't actually look like it. In fact, he's going to actually be retreating because he is half on health. He's also got a damaged engine, not looking good. Also, King Tiger unlocked by the Terror Doctrine, 500 manpower to get it. And this M4 Sherman Crocodile just about to be taken out. 1 more artillery blast. There we go. Gone. And yet again, we do not see a Crocodile living up to usefulness. Now, as I was saying near the beginning of this replay, I said I was going to be setting a priority for 4v4 games. You know what? I'm also going to set another priority. If you guys can send me in a replay where a Crocodile is useful, you know what, I'll probably cast that game instantly, just because I really want to see a crocodile be great. And I don't mean using a crocodile against a newbie player, a player who doesn't have any clue how to counter tanks. I mean using it in an effective pro or intermediate game. I'd love to see something like that. So this Ostwind going down. We've also got a whole bunch more of Americans just moving in, and this is such a reversal of men. If we're looking at what Muddick has, for example, he has loads of guys, loads of pioneers, but you know what a pioneer is going to do. He's got quite a few nice crossholders and one Ostwind. Also, let's take a look at his Smurfing account. He's got 4 PGs, a Mortar Half Track, and a Yak Panther, and a Kettenkrad. So still kind of loads of guys, but really not as much as what they had a number of minutes ago. The Pioneer is trying to get some munitions from the Rex. Very good idea, and that is another clear sign that we have more advanced intermediates to expert players, just because they know when to get munitions, they know how to. And so just obviously taking advantage of being a Wehrmacht player. Not a bad decision. So what else is going on across the field? We've got some Knights Crossholder action versus the Riflemen in the building action, getting some veterancy. The Knights Crossholders going down, not exactly sure why he's in retreating. Come on, more micro. No, the micro is going down. Obviously doesn't recognize that the squad is fighting over here and he loses it. This is the thing about games, after some longevity, after some fighting, everything starts going downhill and the micro just starts going down a bit. That's just because of due stress from the game. So the Wehrmacht are actually retreating entirely. They're moving back all their units. They obviously recognize that the Americans have won the front. They obviously know that the Americans are going to be moving in shortly. The PE, however, are trying to capture away the center side. This AT gun is going to be going down. The southern side, PE are trying to move in as well, but going to be meeting some of the Americans quite shortly. M3 half-track going to be good at reinforcing some of the squads here, but I think most importantly, I think it's probably going to be upgraded to a oh my god, I can't believe quad. God, I can't believe I forgot what it was called, a quad. And so it'd be able to take out those infantry at a better, faster rate. So at least the PE are managing to do something. The Wehrmacht were obviously pushed away from the northern sector, but the Axis Wehrmacht are going to be moving in, supporting the PE on the front over here. 42 points left for the Axis, 234 for the Americans. Not looking good whatsoever for the PE. However, they do have 2 victory points in their hands. This Mortar half-track just managing to get away. Not exactly sure what was happening with the M10 tank destroyer. I'm not exactly sure why he wasn't focus firing on that mortar and trying to take it out. Maybe he was a bit worried about this Yag Panther who's just chasing after him. Obviously the M10 is a lot faster than the Yag Panther, so he can easily outmaneuver it. But oh my god, what we had was the PE reconquering the center, and now massive flanks with the American riflemen just closing in on the center side, recapturing their territory, and managing to chase away the PE and the Wehrmacht from there. And so the PE and the Wehrmacht have to retreat back, fall back to their base sector where this choke point is over here, and continue on the fight from there. Because obviously the Americans, as long as they can hold 2 VPs in their control, then they can do a decent job. What the heck is going on? What is this? Come on! Not a great idea for these pioneers to be trying to get munitions from the crocodile whilst under fire from a quad and riflemen like that. Probably just down to micro, really. The AT gun just about to be taken out from the riflemen. The Panzer IV falling back slightly. We've got a bunker over here. I'm not sure where it's supposed to be. Maybe it's supposed to be an MG bunker. Maybe it's supposed to be a repair bunker. Maybe it's supposed to be a medic bunker even. So the Panzer IV versus the M10. The M10 should be trying to outmaneuver it, or trying to run away now, but instead it has a damaged engine. The Yag Panther moving in, but being chased by American riflemen. Oh my god, American riflemen absolutely everywhere, throwing sticky bombs, and that is why the Yak Panther was trying to retreat. Muddick taking a damaged engine on the Panzer IV. What a horrible situation to be in for the Wehrmacht. This Panzer Jäger squad just about to go down. Just the micro is really going down the drain now. 26 points left for the PE. Perhaps the PE have realized that they're probably going to lose this. 25 and counting. The replay is almost over. I believe we can actually predict who is going to win this game. Oh no, what is going to happen? Maybe the Black Panther at least managed to take out the M10 over here. There we go. Come on, explode. The M10 just managed to take a few shots off before crashing and exploding. 12 points left. Oh, there's really no chance for recovery. All 3 VPs in the hands of the US. Some mines preventing any recovery of the VPs. And just absolutely everything being taken away. Good game coming down from Christoph. 3 points left and playback is now over. That is the end of the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed the replay. Trololo. Let's talk about it. Basically, the Americans could have won this very early on. They could have managed to take out the Americans could have won this early on if they managed to move on the PE on one big swoop rather than moving in guys singularly, one at a time. So basically that was the fault, and that is why the PE and Wehrmacht managed to actually move back on the Americans and force them back to the base multiple times. However, what we saw later in the game was that the Wehrmacht and the PE were taking so many casualties. So what the Americans were suffering from, the Wehrmacht and the Axis were starting to suffer from as well. And so eventually we saw those strafing runs come down, take out the PGs, multiple squads. We also saw multiple territory sectors go down, and it was just really going downhill for the Axis. So well done to Christoph and Chiang for winning that game. I'm very surprised to be getting such an excellent game from for user submissions. So well done to them. Hope you guys enjoyed this replay, and until next time, this is Krebs Coho. Have a nice day.